like at the beginning I was feeling so selfish because since Joseph is special needs, I was just like how selfish is it of me to try to have another baby when my first baby needs extra attention more than the average child, when an average child already needs so much attention.
I'm your host, Alanized, and this is Noche de Pendejadas, your favorite podcast turned talk show en donde yo traigo a tus influencers favoritos para platicar y posiblemente sacarle sus trapitos al sol. Hoy les tengo un episodio que yo sé que ya en casita están súper emocionadas de tener. So without further ado, please help me welcome my guest tonight, Ariel Vidal.
Hello.
H-Town.
H-Town. Y'all already know. H-Town is here in LA, baby.
You guys, first of all, thank you so much for being aquí con nosotros,
No, thank
amigas.
you for inviting me. I literally cannot believe you invited me. I'm so excited.
En cuanto dijo que sí, amigas, I was like, you know what's so funny? The fact that you're like, let's do it. Do it. I really did think it was going to be moved to like January because I'm like, okay, the holidays are a little like packed or a little busy. Y tú vives hasta...
baby, not me. You sent me that DM. I texted us and my babysitter. I said, you need to take care of these silver-toothed ass kids. Sour gummy worm is going to be at work. I am ready, baby.
No, you guys, literal, cuando me dijo, tengo fecha la próxima semana, yo dije, chingue su madre, ¿qué hacerlo? Y pues aquí
you saw the message, chinga, I'm not ready.
Yeah, I was prepping it for like next year. I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe we'll have her in January, cuando las fechas navideñas estén ya pasadas.
Yeah, a little better,
Pero no, amigas, aquí la tenemos el día de hoy, and I'm so excited.
Yes.
Antes de que empecemos con el chisme, cuéntanos un poquito más. How has it been in LA? Is this your first time being in LA?
Yes, it is. It is.
Cuéntanos.
So honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. If you see my camera right now, I keep taking pictures of the mountains. I have never seen mountains.
No hay ahí en Texas?
No. In Houston, it has a flat ass. It's just flat. No, I don't know what we look at. You know, and people have always said, like, what do you mean it's flat? Like, so what do you see? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's just road. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no mountains over there. And like, you could literally see like the houses like are on mountains. I'm like, what the hell? So you go out your backyard, te puedes caer. Imagínate, be careful. You
my
see?
backyard is like a little mountain.
Yeah, you see, no,
like, tengo mi fensa y miras para arriba está toda la montaña.
That's crazy. Yeah, I've never seen mountains before. So I keep sending pictures of my family group chat to my husband. I'm like, look, and they're like, what the? I'm like, I've never seen mountains before. It's beautiful. The air, crispy.
Is it polluted in Texas or no?
No. It's okay. The air of it, it's super humid. When I feel like I'm sweating over there, like sweating, like it's not polluted tampoco, but I think the air is just not crispy like here because it's so freaking humid. It's just like you're sweating.
Even in tiempos de frío?
So when Emma picked us up, I was telling her how literally yesterday you could have worn shorts in Houston, and today it was 30 degrees in the morning. Allá a veces, like, you have to wake up, put on a jacket, and by lunchtime, coochie sweating, baby. Yeah, it's time to put on some shorts.
I've been to Texas before, and literally you guys sales y parece que estás en un pinche sauna y te vuelves a regresar because I'm the type of person that I hate the heat. I hate the fucking heat because I hate the feeling of feeling pegostoso. But I don't think it's as bad as Florida. If you're a Floridian,
maybe.
No, mi amor, te coses. Because I've been to Texas and I've been to Florida. And I feel like Texas is like a hybrid between like Arizona and California.
Like right in the middle.
Right in the middle. Like you're like, it's not that bad. Pero Florida,
Arizona is desert, no?
Desierto.
Yeah, you see, no
ahí
manches,
te calientas, amiga, ahí te rostizas. Literally, ahí está como el culo del diablo, amigas. But
ya valió.
Literally, I'm glad you made it safe and sound. I know yesterday te fuiste de compra y casi compraste todo el pinche mall.
No, I'm in trouble, girl. Y luego fuimos al TJ Maxx y ya valió. No, hombre. I found the cutest strawberry cup. It's a teacup. And I told him, I was like, can you triple wrap it? Because this hoe is going on a plane. It has to make it to Houston.
Wait, so did you actually have to buy another maleta? Porque en la mañana me dijo, ayer actually, me dijo, I went shopping and I had to get another maleta. Yo pensé que era de broma. Y ahorita lo comentaste.
No, I went to TJ Maxx and I had to get a duffel bag. Y luego hoy en la mañana fuimos a Target. This is the nicest Target I've ever been to. Very organized and everything was in stock. Mine sucks. The one in my town actually doesn't even have like it's not up to date. It's like literally the last one in the United fucking States, I guess, to get updated. So usually you even travel like 45 minutes to go to another Target Because that's a good Target. And even then, it had nothing compared to this one that I went to. I said, oh, I'm gonna stay here. I need to move over here.
You know what's so crazy? Hearing her say that, you guys, is making me want to appreciate my Target more.
No, love your Target.
I love my Target, but then I also be complaining about our Target.
Yes.
Like, even that TJ Maxx that was next to the Target, the one that you went to, I fucking love and hate that TJ Maxx because siempre tienen cosas, pero también no tienen las cosas que uno quiere. Like the Hello Kitty stuff.
Yes.
You remember when Hello Kitty was hella trending y todos querían?
My TJ Maxx, and I always put this on my vlog, my TJ Maxx is full of that damn kitty. And I think I'm honestly becoming a Hello Kitty person, but because I have no choice. Because I'm a strawberry shortcake girly. If you know, you know. But I have literally became a Hello Kitty person because I have no motherfucking choice. Like, it's either this or I ain't getting shit. But I've even said on a vlog, I'm like, I think Hello Kitty owns my fucking town. Like, Hello Kitty is part owner of my motherfucking town because
it is very crazy how, like, this past year, she's everywhere.
Blew up.
Dijeron, tienen que tener a la pinche gatita en su casa y sas. Because, like, me too, so I have a lot of friends that are huge Hello Kitty fans. Like, I have Annette, I have sobrinas, I have friends that, love her. Yo siempre en mi mente, yo nunca le encontraba el chiste. I would always be like, ay, qué tanto le miran a esa pinche gatita, mírenme la mía. Imagine, yo no sabía. Yeah, I would not be like, I didn't know what the buzz was about until I started seeing people going crazy, like going to like Home Goods, Marshalls, finding the kitty. And no les voy a mentir, amigas, también me tenían a mí, a mi boyfriend, and Irma. Literally, we would go to so many TJ Maxx to try to find Hello Kitty y no podíamos encontrar,
okay,
amigas.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I think the Christmas Hello Kitty has been my favorite. If I say something Hello Kitty Christmas, it does come home with me. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm not.
You know where you need to check?
Where?
CVS. CVS has a lot of Hello Kitty stuff.
Wait, actually, don't put that in the video. Gatekeep it.
Gatekeep it. You're like, you know what? Actually, CVS has ran out.
CVS doesn't have shit.
No, pero en verdad que sí, like, I feel like Hello Kitty has taken over everyone.
Yes.
Porque hasta yo me hice fan, amigas.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I've realized también for my little girl, my daughter's name's Emerlyn. They're like, I think you're making Emerlyn into a Hello Kitty girl so you could be a strawberry shortcake. I'm like, yeah, so then I just get like best of both worlds. Yeah,
wait, so you've always loved like strawberry shortcake?
Yes, I have. I actually have a vintage Hello Kitty. I mean, Hello Kitty.
Ya la traicionó, amiga.
Ya valió. No, a vintage strawberry shortcake, like from when I was little, and I have it there.
How much is like the resale value?
I haven't even looked. I don't even want to look it up because then, no, hombre,
Cuando ya no exista TikTok, amigas, ahí la van a ver vendiendo Hello Kitty, tu strawberry shortcake.
Find me on eBay.
Literally. Pero no, amigas, I'm so excited que estás aquí con nosotros el día de hoy. Yo sé que también allá en casita están súper emocionadas de conocerla un poquito más, amigas. Yo la conocí, hoy es nuestro primer día conociéndolas, but I found you literally within the last couple of months. I've been consuming your content and I literally built the courage and I was like, le voy a decir que venga al podcast y estoy bien contento, amigas, que aceptó y hoy ustedes, igual que yo, vamos a poder conocerte un poquito más. So before we jump into the chisme, amigas, yo le voy a dar el micrófono a Ariel para que nos diga un poquito más quién es y qué hace.
Of course, my name is Ariel Vidal. I am 25 years old. I just turned 25 in November, so I am freshly 25.
Yes.
I am from H-Town. You already know. I am a proud Houstonian. I love Houston. I have 2 kids. I am married. I'm locked down. Oh, no. I love my husband. I love my kids. I am all about family. And I started social media just because I was in a very dark place. I just needed an outlet. And I really just needed to find myself because being a stay-at-home mom just really consumes you. Don't get me wrong. I love being a mom. That is my first job. Absolutely. But I also just wanted to be something else besides just a mom, besides being a wife. I wanted to find my own space and literally just make a name for myself.
And you've been doing just that, amigas. Si ustedes no la siguen, yo sé que después de esto se van a hacer mega fans porque también yo. Literal, as soon as I started like seeing her on my For You page, you guys, I was literally just telling her that I had seen her maybe like 2 months ago prior to like me actually following her, pero no te estaba siguiendo because as soon as I follow someone on TikTok, ya no me sale ni For You.
Se me
va. No sé qué chingados tiene TikTok que los pone on your following. And I never really check like my following tab. I'm always like on the For You page. And I was like, you know what? No. Ya estuvo bueno. La quiero seguir. I need to keep up with her. Y pues hoy la tenemos aquí, amigas. We're going to go ahead and start con el chisme del día de hoy. Y vamos a empezar con la primera pregunta that I love starting with, que es tu infancia. Cuéntanos un poquito de eso. How was Ariel growing up? ¿Cómo fue tu infancia?
I've seen a lot of your podcasts, don't get me wrong, and just seeing people on social media, and a lot of people have a lot of trauma, which sucks, that's terrible. But I actually had a really good childhood. And what I mean by that, my parents always, if I wanted something, they're going to get it done. My parents had me very young. My mom was 15 when she had me, so very, very young. So the thing was with that was she was growing up at the same time as I was growing up, and so my parents were very young. So they didn't live together. I didn't get that two-parent household. I grew up at my grandma's house. My mom has 2 sisters and a brother. One of my aunts we're 2 years apart. My other aunt's 4 years apart. So I was an only child for 14 years, but I grew up with my aunt, so I was really never alone, you know? And there was times I remember at my grandma's house where there was 10 people living there, the very, the Hispanic culture, sí, todo, we're oh, viene familia de Mexico, se van a quedar aquí un mes. My grandma had to work, my mom had to work, so I remember we were in school. I was in kinder, and I would say my aunt was maybe in first, second grade. We would get off the bus, go home, and we were home alone.
Oh, shit.
My aunt would literally get a step stool to be on the stove to cook us something because my mom had to work. And I remember my mom knew exactly what time we were supposed to unlock the door and get home, so she would call us. My mom was a banker at Wells Fargo. So she would call us hey, you made it? Yes, y ya. Yes, because you had to work because it's then who's going to pay the bills? We weren't rich. Nothing was handed to us. But like I said, trauma, I don't use that word because I had a very beautiful childhood. I was loved. Anything that I wanted, if my mom had to work overtime, my parents had to work, they were going to make it happen.
Make it happen.
Yes,
I love that.
And that's why my husband complains sometimes that I'm spoiled, but that he added on to it también. So it's I've always been very blessed. That's the word. I'm very, very blessed. I came from a very loving family. And I've always been, it doesn't matter how much money you have. That money was never the issue. I've always felt love. My mom has 2 sisters and a brother. If you want to say a trauma, I would say my uncle did have to go to jail. He fell in with the wrong crowd, just high school teen stuff. He was always that man figure. He's literally the only man. Our family is very, very small. I think that's why I'm so family orientated. Yeah. Because it's always just been us. Not that I don't love my family. I love my family, but I think that's why I grew up with now it's my husband and my kids.
That's your family.
Yeah, that's my family. I am all about family. And I think it's because my family, I grew up with such a small family that we've always been so connected. And so I remember when he went to jail, my grandma, and I don't know, I'm sure y'all know, in the Hispanic household, the boy, especially being the only boy, oh my, he was
macho,
a fake, And my grandma told me, niño, mi hija, I'm relax, pero my, es su único hijo. So that really took a big toll on her, But I remember, I think he might have been
¿Cuántos años tenías tú cuando estaba pasando todo eso?
I would say 10 or 12. Yeah, so I was todavía estaba chiquita, pero you still knew what was going around.
Consciente, chiquita pero consciente. Yeah.
Yeah, so I remember even my grandma, she would drive. It was me and my Aunt Ashley. She would take us to go visit him on the weekends. Every weekend we would go. I think it was sometimes it was an hour and a half con comida.
Yeah.
And I remember she would always call hey, vamos a ir el sábado. ¿Qué quieres de comer? And always, and y no faltamos. And I think it was almost for 2 years que fuimos.
Did you like going to see your tío in jail?
You see. Now that I think back then I would I was so excited just to see him, but now that I think about it, I was I wish I didn't see him like that.
Yeah.
Because that's not the person he is now.
You know what's so crazy talking about jail, you guys? I don't think I've ever talked about this, but when I was really small, my dad went to jail. Maybe for a year, because no duró mucho ahí. It was a year.
Yeah.
For a year, my mom would take me and my siblings.
Oh, yeah,
and we hated it because it was so ghetto.
Yeah.
En México, amigas, imagínense, si aquí las cárceles no están tan feas.
No, hombre, sí,
ahora en México, no mames, literal, cuando teníamos que ir al baño, o tenías que ir al baño frente a todos.
Have you ever seen the prison shows on Netflix where they show different? I'm
that, no, but I think in Mexico worse, you guys. I'd rather go to jail here.
No, I'm telling you, now that I'm just I'm gonna be in my best behavior. I don't know how Cali jail is, not me, baby.
Pero cuéntanos un poquito más, de la relación con tus papás. Obviamente nos cuentas that your parents were super young when they got pregnant with you. Y no vivieron juntos. Do you remember the time when they officially moved in together and you guys became a little family?
Yes. So, it was actually when my mom got pregnant, when my sister was born. So it was 14 years.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it's a big gap. But we would see my dad on the weekends. I already knew my mom was off usually Saturdays and Sundays, if not Saturdays, like half days, because she did work at a bank, like I said, so it was always a half day. So I would always know que, Saturday, Sunday era para mi papá. So he would pick us up. My dad would stay with his siblings. They came from Mexico. And my dad también is very family oriented. So he would just stay, con su familia de Mexico, ¿me entiendes? Because he came with his sisters and his brother. But I always knew, like, the weekend was to be with him.
Did you get excited to be with your dad? Or do you feel like because you would not see him too much, you were kind of like,
now that I think about it, I actually think I liked it better because I would look forward to the weekend. Aww. And I would be like, and he had those days to, like, spoil me, so. And I always have a core memory. Like, when we would stop at a gas station, he would always give me the lemon Lays with the Gatorade. But I remember he used to always make me open it, and I had to offer to everyone first. And I'd be like,
quiero ofrecer. This is for me. And it was like the $1 one.
Yeah, right? Just like 3 chips.
You're like, bitch, buy me the family pack then. Literally.
I remember those weekends. So it did take, my mom's always made it sure, like, that I didn't know her personal problems. And like I said, she was very young, so I was growing up with her. Yeah. So honestly, like, my grandma, I call her mommy. I call her ma. Like, my grandma helped raise me. And again, I think when I was a teenager, like, maybe like 13, 14, I not resent my mom, but I would be like, like, she's so young. And it used to bother me that she was young. It really would. Especially,
really? Why?
Especially going to school, they were like, oh, like, your mom, or they're like, oh, my mom's this, my mom's 40. My mom, like, oh, chinga, 40. Because that wasn't normal. Like, I was just like, I started realizing, like, my mom is very young. Like, sometimes that 2 + 2 ain't 4.
How old was she when you were like 14? Maybe like 30 something?
So right now I'm 25, my mom's 41, and my dad's 40. Yeah, you see? So
they're all jovencitos.
Yes.
And I feel like it does make a big difference. Did anyone, like, your peers ever be like, ay, tu mamá está bien joven y guapa?
Yeah, are you joking? My husband is my mom's #1 fan. He loves his mother-in-law. Yeah, and my mom, like, they both go to the gym. They're very active. So, like, they look good for their... I think they even look younger than what they are. So sometimes I'm just like, Mom, stop going to the gym.
That's how I feel with my suegra.
Yes.
Because my suegra, she just turned 40. Yeah, she had my novio when she was like 14
okay,
too.
Yeah, you see?
So super, super young. And ahora se mira mejor que uno. I'm like, ay, no, dame lo que tú te estás tomando.
Yes, I need that. And I posted my grandma too on TikTok. And they're like, there's no way that's your grandmother's. Because even my grandma, it's like, but it's because my family's always, like, taking care. Like, my grandma goes to Zumba. The 6 days out of the week. My grandma does not play. Like, she's at 10 o'clock. Call her at 10 o'clock. She's like, no puedo hablar, estoy en la Zumba. Chinga. Like, my grandma does not play.
I love that, though. That she's super active.
Yeah, she takes care of herself. When she retired, she decided because she retired. She lives with my uncle. So she retired and she was just at home, like, in her room. And my uncle was like, you need to get some, because, imagínate, like, you're going to rot there in bed.
Hacer Zumba o hacer qué hacer.
Haz algo. No, so she started doing Zumba. My family's just very, very young. It is. And, like, my mother-in-law's in her 50s. She did have her kids older.
Yeah.
So sometimes I'm like, my mother-in-law and my grandma are
almost the same age.
Yes, and they're closer. Like,
Yeah.
Because son señoras. We're like, oh, mira las viejitas, right?
Yes.
But because it's like that. So honestly, my mother-in-law too is, like, literally like my second mom. Like, it's completely different than talking to my mom because my mother-in-law is older. Like, my mother-in-law
so
really
like
is.
Wise.
Yes. It's like different. Or too, like, las cosas que vivió mi mother-in-law, my mom didn't, y vice versa. ¿Me entiendes? So it's like, it just depends on, like, on the advice that I need at the moment. I'm like, who am I gonna call? Who's gonna be the lucky winner? Wait, let me see which one would be better. Because one is older than the other, yeah.
After 14 years of your parents not living together, se vuelve a embarazar tu mamá with your sister. Yeah. And then after that, se vuelve a embarazar otra vez, and you end up having 2 sisters. Yeah. What was that like, the transition from being an only child, being chiquiada, to now having to almost share your parents with both your sisters? Yeah,
so when my mom got pregnant, it was 2 months. My sister was 2 months at my quinceañera. Literally 2 months. My mom was like, like, is she going to be able to have her shots? Because, in the Hispanic household, if you don't get your shots, you're not going out, baby. And I was like, Mom, you better hurry it up. My sister was born in September, and mi quinceañera, it was in November. So she, like, made the mark barely. But you know what's crazy is her name's Atlantis. My sister's name is Atlantis.
I love that.
Yes. My parents have a seat thing. So I'm Ariel. Atlantis is where Ariel lives. So, yeah. And then my sister's Athena. And they're all A's. Hasta eso. And my mom's that. April with an A. That's why she did it.
And your dad?
My dad's Miguel.
La cago. Cambien el nombre, papá. Literally.
No, my mom said, screw my dad, right? So when she was born, I literally, like, fell in love. Like, at first, like, maybe I'm gonna be jealous, but I'm like 14. Maybe I'm too old to be jealous. I literally saw her and I fell in love with her. It is, like, crazy. Like, I know she's my sister, and I think now that I'm a mom, like, I have a motherly love for her. I worry about her like she is my child. Like, it's not even a sister. And, like, it's crazy. And I actually like being older than them because anything I do, like, I'm so fucking cool to them. Like, anything. Like, me being on TikTok, even back then when I would get, like, 100 likes. Oh, my God, you got 100 likes. Like, they're so proud of me. Like, if I need an ego boost, I'm calling my sister. Yeah, she's 10 now. So I'm literally the coolest fucking person to her. She'll be like, oh, I told my friends in school. Like, she airheads me. If I need someone to airhead me, it's my sister.
You're like, call the sister up. How was it like, you know, en la manera de raising them? Do you feel like you had to take almost like that raising role because your parents were busy working y pues eras la mayor?
Well, you see, you know, cuando nació mi first sister Atlantis, my mom ya no, she would work and pues I was in school, so she had a babysitter. My tia, my dad's sister, would take care of Atlantis. But honestly, I never saw it as like, you know, something like, I have to watch like La Chiquita, or like, it wasn't like that because I was alone for so long. Like, it was all new to me. I mean, my parents, I mean, a 14-year gap is really insane. They literally restarted. So I remember it was like I was experiencing my first child with my mom, because even though it was her second. But with my little sister, my mom and I were pregnant at the same time. I know, it's very embarrassing. Very embarrassing.
What?
Yes. So I was 6 months pregnant with my first child with Joseph when my mom found out she was pregnant. So I already didn't live with my parents because I had gotten pregnant and I had gotten kicked out or whatever. So she called me on the phone. I remember I was leaving school with one of my friends. She was giving me a ride home, and she called me and she's like, I need to tell you something. So it actually really wasn't exciting because it was a terrible time for me while I was pregnant. Yeah. I was a teen parent. I remember I was like, what do you mean you're pregnant? Because I was already embarrassed myself being a teen parent, and then she wants to call me and tell me she was pregnant. Yeah. I'm like, because I was, a teen, and then my mom's pregnant, but it's because my mom is young. And you see, and that's what I'm telling you. That's why too. Like, obviously, if my mom was older, I'm like, Mom, why are you getting freakiness at 50? You know, like.
So tu hermanita casi se la lleva con tu hijo.
Sí. So Joseph, my sister's name is Athena. So Joseph and Athena are 6 months apart.
That's
exactly
cool.
Yes.
Yes, la tía de
yes, la tía. Yeah.
That's crazy. I've always thought that is like funny when like the tía is younger than the sobrino or sobrina.
And I've seen that like on memes and stuff on TikTok. They're like, like it's known in the Hispanic culture, and I'm like, oh, like it's true because it happened to me.
It is true. I feel like your mom. How old was she when she had her third baby?
Let me see. She's 4. She's like 33.
Okay, that's still good. Did she have like a risky pregnancy or no?
No. With my sister Atlantis, she did actually, but no. And she actually wanted to have a fourth one because son 3 girls. They really wanted a boy. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna be 40 and have a baby. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm not letting that happen. I was like, no. I was like, ya valió. I'm like, I don't need to. Like, 40 is crazy to have a baby. Like for I was just like, Mom, I already have a baby myself. I was just like, I have 2 kids. So I was like, imagine I cannot have a sibling like younger than my baby.
How were your parents growing up? Do you feel like they were like strict, lenient, or like a little mix of both?
Growing up, like before I hit teens, let's say like 13, 14, I was really like to myself. You know what I loved? I loved reading. I was a reader. I wish I had time now to read. Like I really miss it. I was
Top 3 favorite books.
Yes. Don't put me in the spot. Don't put me in the spot.
Like, no. She's like, never read before.
I'm like, just kidding. No. Honestly, I was telling my mom, like, I wish I had time now to sit down and read. But it's like, it's either read or edit now. Yeah, at least I have to edit. But I was really to myself. And it was very hard. Like I said, my aunts were really close in age. So I remember like back then I was very confused of like who I wanted to be because I would see my aunts and like they're more like my older sisters. So I'm like, do I want to be like them or I'm like, but I fucking hate them. Like, I don't even like them. I don't want to be like them, you know? So being like my Aunt Ashley, I'm 2 years apart from her. So like 2 years no es nada if you think about it. So it's like, I was like, I there's times like, you know, her favorite color is purple, right? So my mom would be like, what's purple. I love her. I fucking hate purple. But she even had a purple room. I remember clearly my grandma's a purple fucking room.
You were influenced by her.
Yes, and I'd be like, oh, I love purple. Girl, ask me now, I fucking hate purple. And I think I hate purple because of her.
You're like, me lo hizo diablo.
Yes,
¿Es de tía?
Yes, it's her.
La tía está ahorita sentada, you guys, en el público.
I was really like of who I wanted to be. And back then, like, she was older, so like, she wanted nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
Please, I'm a star. I would tell her no.
Would you guys fight a lot?
No. She would literally just ignore me. If we would fight, I think, because I wanted to be in her room or something. Y también, since she was a little older, sometimes she could have friends over or something. And I'm like, oh shit, I want to be there. She'd be like, bitch, what the hell are you? Yes, you see, and it was different. I was very confused, like between the ages of like, I was like maybe like 12 to 14.
Yeah.
Because it was like I don't know what's like step. Y también too, like I was in a school And it was like the people, I don't like, I guess ghetto, you know? And so it's like, oh, like, should I be like that? Like, you know, like, should I start fighting? Should I be like this? Because like, I mean, that's what I'm seeing, right? My mom put a stop to that shit and she moved me schools.
Wait, you wanted to fight people? Like, casi te peleabas con alguien,
I wanted to be like that. I'm like, oh, no, I wanted to. Like,
según ¿quién quiere broncas? Que aquí estoy yo.
I was going to hand out 3-piece extra crispy combo, según yo.
Yes.
My mom said, hell no, bitch. And she moved me schools. She said, no.
I love that.
Yes, my mom was like that. My dad, I think, my dad is a type even now, like, if I talk to my dad, it's more through my mom. Like, my dad will ask my mom, like, oh, like, have you talked to Ariel?
¿Cómo está?
Los niños, this and that. You know, it's stuff like that. We talked to him, but he's always been like that. I think it's just like it's a dad thing.
I think it's a dad thing too. Yes. Because I feel like myself, like, even though you guys know I don't have like the best relationship with my dad, but I feel like even now, ya lo puedo soportar, I'm able to have a convo. Yeah. But I never really like talk on the phone with him. Like, Mom, ¿cómo está mi dad? Bien? Cool. Boom.
Yeah, ándale,
sí. ¿Está vivo? Chido.
Is he breathing? Okay, don't fucking call me.
Like, yeah.
No, sí es también. Or two, like, he's a lot like on Facebook. So like, we'll send like memes de aquí, le mando una foto de los niños, así. Because now, honestly, he calls me, it's for the kids. They don't give a fuck about me. But it really is like through my mom. But there was times, so when I got pregnant, I didn't talk to my dad for a year. I think it was a little over a year. Like, even after I gave birth and everything with Joseph. So it was like very, very hard because even like I said, even though I didn't talk to him sometimes directly, just knowing that he wasn't asking for me, which I'm 100% sure he was, but my mom wouldn't tell me, I mean, just not to bring up that convo. Because even like talking to my mom during that time, I was like walking on eggshells, like, because it was like a very difficult time. Like, it was a very, very bad time.
Which we're going to talk about right now.
Yes,
we're going to get into that. We're going to get into her pregnancy and all of that. Antes de que empecemos con esa plática, quiero que nos platiques un poquito más about your school life. Were you like estudiosa? Nos cuentas que you were trying to become a peleonera, pero no se hizo.
Yeah.
What was Ariel like in school? Like, do you feel like you loved school or you were just like X?
I fucking love school. I was a type... straight A's. If I got an 89, and my mom can literally, like, there's been times where I would come home with an 89, I'll be crying. And my mom would be like, está bien. I'm like, no, it's not a 90. I'm like that. I am very book smart. Like, give me a book, I'll memorize it. A book, but on the street, oh, hell no. No, I need to know. Street smart, no. But book smart, I'm really smart. Like, not even to, like, be cocky or anything. I am very, very book smart.
Like, did you graduate with, like, a high GPA?
I graduated with a 4. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, and even, I'm just built, but like I said, not in the street. I need everything figured out.
You're like, póngala en la escuela. La calle no, porque ahí se hunde.
Yeah, ahí ya valió. No, but I've always been very, and like I love to read. I wouldn't say I was like popular. I think I'm just like right in the middle. Like, I would talk to the popular kids, just to everyone. I've always been told that I've been really funny. Eso sí. I'm like, oh, of course I'm fucking funny. No, but I've always said that I'm very funny. I think I'm just very outgoing. And even when my mom contaba chiquita, like, yo hablo con todos. Like, my mom, like, te van a robar. I'm like, pues que me roben. Like,
I make friends with them.
I love to talk. I love
that, though.
Yes.
I love when I meet a talker, you guys, because ustedes saben que yo soy igual. No me callo el pinche perro hocico.
Sí,
so when someone can, like, do that.
Like, have a conversation. So that's like, noche de pendeja. Like, yo soy una pendeja. Like, qué buena que me hablaste.
You're like, that's who you need.
My dad always actually says that. She's like, ay, las pendejadas que haces. So before we got here, my mom was just like, you know what? I haven't even told your dad cómo se llama la podcast. Noche de pendeja. I'm just like, tell him. Because he always says, I'm just like, las pendejadas que haces, Ariel. And I was like, look, there you go. Por ser pendeja
Hasta dónde me llegó las pendejadas que hago. Literally, what was your favorite materia growing up?
Okay, my worst, math. I fucking hate math. But, you know, my husband is so smart at math. So I'm just like, okay, like he makes up for the math part of me. But my favorite was English. I love writing. I loved essays and all of that. I know. I love writing. I wanted to be a teacher. I wanted to be an English teacher. Okay. I always wanted to be that when I was little. Always.
I can see you being a teacher, honestly. But I can't see Miss Vidal.
Why I didn't decide on teaching is because the pay is so low. They do not deserve that. That's the only thing. It's like they do so much. But desde que estaba chiquita, I remember when I would play, I would save like all my like papers and stuff, and I would grade them. Y yo, like, I had a clase según yo, and like I was very big on imagination. Por eso estoy bien loco, porque I would just talk to myself. I'm still like that. I'm just like,
te imaginas lo que no está ahí.
And I was like really like with stuffed animals, like everyone had their own place, and even like the light switches, I'd be like, oh, I need to turn it off 6 times. Like, I was one of those.
Wait, so you had like imaginary friends growing up?
Yes, I did.
What was that like? I've always wondered because yo nunca amigas. I'm like, yo no estoy con Lulu.
No.
Yo no estoy loco. No.
So
but what was that like?
It's not, okay, like, it's not like I would be, like, I would see someone, but like, I guess when I was like playing, like, I would get like too much in the zone. And so I would like, my stuffed animals would be talking to me. I'm like one of like Toy Story
like
shit.
They would have like conversations with you?
But I think I would just like play like too, like I would get so deep in it. Or sometimes still remember, I've always been like very like, I'll give you this example. One time my mom was driving and she ran over a cup in the street. I'm like, oh my God, do you think the cup is her? Like, is the cup okay? Like, I would think everything had
Your mom's
feeling.
like, no, bitch.
My mom was just like, what the fuck? I'm gonna run it over again. I've always been like that. Like, or sometimes I still catch myself like that. I'm like, I'm just like, no, but it's okay, it's okay. Or like, if you close the door too hard, I'm just like, oh my God. But
you know what
like,
I do now? I don't have imaginary friends, but I talk to myself a lot.
Yeah, I still talk to, yeah.
Like,
I don't have imaginary friends no more. No more, I swear.
No more.
Please. I left them in my grandma's house.
Literally, para que la cuida la abuelita, literal. No, I feel like I talk to myself, but only in el sentido that, let's say, like, because I have like a lot of things in my head, right? Like, I'm like thinking about this, and that.
Yes.
I think I worry too much.
Yes.
So I have to like verbally say what I'm gonna do. Like, okay, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, I gotta do that. And then my boyfriend.
Like letting your thoughts flow out because they're so fucking full up there.
I'm like, sácalas, a la chinga su madre. My boyfriend will be like, who are you talking to? I'm like, oh, no one. I'm just talking to myself.
No, that's my husband too. Or two, like when I'm filming, I'm like, why do you do this? And he's like, what? I'm like, mind your fucking business. I'm in the zone.
Literally.
Into like that. Like, but I was just always, or you know what too I really liked was like I wanted to be a cashier. So one time we passed by a garage sale. Magically, no, te lo juro, they were selling 3 cash registers, and I was saving my money. I used to, my dad's always had bought me like piggy banks and stuff. So I think I had just broken one, so I had money, and I told him I was like, stop, I'm buying the cash register. Y yo solo me bajé and I got my cash register. I don't know why I wanted to be a cashier. Yes, I wanted. So if TikTok stops, I'm gonna go be a cashier now. I'm ready for that.
Ella está lista,
that's on my
amiga.
resume, baby. That's on my resume.
I'm gonna fucking make that shit happen.
Yes, I love that. I was just very. I guess I was just in a lot to myself. Like I said, I think I was a little like,
Tenías mucho tiempo.
Yeah, too much tiempo. No. I was a little weird, I guess, and that's why too my aunts were like, what the fuck? Because they were like older and they were cool, and I'm like, oh.
And you're over here playing with your imaginary friends.
Yes, and
you're
I was like,
mija, ve a hacer amigos de real. Isn't it funny how the people we love the most are often the hardest to shop for? Luckily, there's one gift that everyone on your list is sure to enjoy: an Aura digital picture frame. Named #1 by Wirecutter, Aura frames make it incredibly easy to share unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to a frame. And when you give an Aura frame as a gift, you can personalize and preload it with a thoughtful message and photos using the Aura app, making it an ideal present for long-distance loved ones. It's a gift so special, they'll use it every day. I personally love my Aura frames porque ustedes saben lo fácil que yo me aburro de decoraciones en mi casa, and with the Aura frames, I know for a fact I will never get bored of the same picture because I can always change it up. Y este año, después de descubrir Aura digital frames, I am for sure gifting some of my loved ones some, porque sé que también a ellos les va a encantar. I love my Aura frames because I love updating it with new pictures, old pictures, y cuando viene mi familia se entretienen looking through all of them, y sé que también les va a gustar a ustedes. Save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver matte frames by using promo code Alanized at checkout. That's Aura, A-U-R-A, frames.com, promo code Alanized. This deal is an exclusive to listeners, so get yours now in time for the holidays. Terms and conditions apply. Quiero platicar un poquito de tu relación con tu esposo. Para los que no saben, amigas, se conocieron a los 14 años. Y yo soy bien chismoso, amiga. Yo quiero saber todo y todos los detalles. ¿Cómo se conocieron? Who made the first move? And how did he or you ask each other out? Cuéntanos todo eso.
Okay, let me just say I am #forever same D. That's me, baby. That he is. I think when I know this is so cringy. I would hate when people like, oh, like it was love at first sight. Okay, mine, I don't think it was love at first sight. Babe, I love you, but I don't think it was, and I'll explain why. But where it all started was, so back then, on Instagram, you would do like TB8, to be honest.
Yes,
Yeah. So I did a to be honest, and he liked it, right? But back then, like, when someone liked you, to be honest, you would put like, oh, like, I don't know you, but hit me up. Because that was his comment.
Yes.
So he liked it, and I commented. I was like, hey, like, to be honest, I don't know you, but hit me up. So he took it serious, and I remember he DM'd me on Twitter. Back then, Twitter was a really big thing. I don't even think Twitter exists anymore.
It's X now.
Oh, yeah.
Ya le cambiaron hasta el nombre, amigas.
Yeah, you see, no, I don't have X. Well, I think I, like, got it, but I never use it. Anyways. So he messaged me, y no le dije nada. I left him, I was like, what the, like, why is this guy messaging, like, nada que ver, right? And then he messaged me again. Yeah, I fell for it. He tried me, no. And so it all started on Twitter. He DM'd me, and then we started talking. So he was actually a grade above me. It was the summer of me going into high school. So I was going to be a freshman, and he was going to be a sophomore. He had just finished his freshman year. I had enrolled to a different school, so we weren't even going to go to the same school. But we started talking, and we kind of hit it off. And then we actually found out that my brother-in-law, well, his brother is older than him. So his older brother and my uncle were best friends growing up. So his older brother had actually been to my grandma's house. His older brother knew me, like had seen me in diapers cuando estaba chiquita and everything.
You grow up. Yeah.
So he like knew my family and everything. So I'm like, wait, like
it's meant to be.
Like the road is so small. I was like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, like my brother says he knows your uncle. This and that. I'm like, no puede ser.
The uncle that would be in jail.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, ese mero. They were best friends. Like, wow, like that's crazy how literally the road is so small. You know, actually to this day, I tell him all the time, he never asked me to be his girlfriend. It was just one of those, he just kept talking and talking. Pasaron los años. And I was like, hey, like, you know, you never asked me out. And he's like, oh, like, yes, I did. I'm like, no, like, I would remember. So we literally sat there and we made up a date for anniversary.
What is the date?
It's September 6th, 2014. It's 9/6/14. Clearly I remember. Now that I think I'm like, maybe we've been dating longer. And when I said, I'm like, hey, I'm like, you know, you never like asked, like, we never celebrate anniversaries or anything. Yeah. And he was like, oh, like, and I'm like, but it's because you never asked me out. And he's like, yes, I did. I'm like, no, you didn't. Like, we just literally, like, started talking and we just never stopped. Yeah. Like, we were even in separate schools.
So, no se miraban ustedes en persona?
No. So, I think it was, like, for a good, like, six, maybe even 9 months, que no, like, we would, it was just all online. And back then, he had Android. And so, we would talk on the phone, like, toda la noche. Like, till we fell asleep on the phone. I remember my phone be hot as fuck. I'm chingón, me está quemando. But I was on the phone with him all night because he had Android.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I was in a different school freshman year, and he was Pasadena Memorial. I don't know how I convinced my mom to move me. And I just, because, I have no, Mom, if you're watching this, don't watch it. Skip, Mom. I would always tell her, like, it's because I have no friends. Like, I don't like it. But it's because I wanted to be with him because I did not see him. Where we met was at the movie theater. So I went, Mom, again, please skip. I went to the movie theater with my friends, and I told like, hey, I'm going to go to the movie theaters. And back then there's always like 2 movie theaters in our town. It's AMC or Hollywood movie theater. My mom wanted to take me to Hollywood because it was closer to us, but he lived closer to AMC. So he kept saying like, well, like I can't go to AMC, like this and that. And I'm just, I can't go to Hollywood. I'm like, well, can you like force your mom? And his mom was like, oh no, like what? Yeah. That's too far. So it had been a lot of times where we tried to meet and no, because like we were literally on opposite sides of towns kind of. Yeah. So, like, the movie theaters were zoned differently. And so one time I convinced my mom, like, no, Mom, it has to be AMC. Like, it's this time. You're telling me, Mom, it has to be this time.
Like, it has to be.
So, finally, it worked. And I went with my friend, Segun, and he met me there. And I remember the movie. How do you remember what movie it was? It got sold out. So, he literally had to sneak in through the back. And, you know, my first reaction was, in person, he didn't look short. He is short. I have short king. I do. But honestly, like, when I saw him, like, oh, like, he is short. But that never, like they wasn't like, oh, okay, no, like, ya valió. Yeah, I was already too deep in, I guess. Because a lot of people were like, oh, how do you do it? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's what's in the pants. So I met him that one time, and then, it was literally, like, through the phone. Like, you know, we would, and two, he used to have, like a laptop. So I think we would even, like, not Zoom. I don't even know what it was back then. But we would make it work.
Ovo?
Yeah, I guess.
Is it that
yeah,
app?
Uvu, yeah.
Or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, because he didn't have, it was fucking Android. I'm like, dude, like, why do you have an Android? Like, your mom can get you an iPhone. But back then, they were all Android. Like, his family, I'm like, dude, can you, like, switch? Like, I need a FaceTime.
Like, I need to FaceTime you and see your face. What was it like at the beginning? Obviamente, se conocen super, super young. And I feel like when couples date super, super young, I feel like it can kind of sometimes get hard, especially because, obviamente, no han madurado. You know, it's your guys' first relationship. Do you guys feel like you guys struggled at the beginning, like, when you guys started dating? And if so, how did you guys overcome those struggles?
So, you know, honestly, I would say our struggles started when we became parents. I think at first, because it was just like a childhood love, like no one had problems, if that makes sense. No real issues. And I've said this before, like on TikTok Live. My husband also does TikTok here and there, and he likes to get on live, so platica on live. So back then, he has been really good. He's a shoe reseller, like he's a sneakerhead, so he would resell shoes and all this. And he would have money, and he would always buy me like Tory Burch, Kate Spade, like in high school. And that was big, like that was just
that's
designer back then, yeah. And he didn't have a job, that he couldn't work yet. So like back then, like our problems would be like, oh, like, hey, you're gonna be able to buy me this purse, or like, hey, Christmas is coming up, I want this. Like it wasn't real world problems, And it was literally like I said, childhood love. Like it was just like so innocent. We started struggling when we became parents, because it's like it went from childhood love to like, okay, bitch, you're in the real world now. Yeah. Like you need to step the fuck up. And both of us, like that's how it was. At the beginning, I would literally it wasn't perfect, but even after, I think the biggest obstacle was that we wouldn't see each other. But then my sophomore year, I did end up moving to the same high school, and he was a junior, so we were finally together.
Quiero platicar un poquito de eso. Te embarazas a los 17 años.
Yes.
3 years after knowing him and getting to date each other. What was that like? ¿Cómo te das cuenta tú que estabas embarazada? ¿Cómo le das la noticia a él y a tu familia? ¿Y qué era la reacción de todos?
Yeah, this is actually always my number one question, because I've never talked about this, because when I think about it, it still like takes me back. And it's been years and everyone has moved on, you know, but it's like, it was very traumatic. So he was actually, so we were 3 years in, but we had actually just started having sex, because I waited a whole year, like a year and a half, to have sex with him. Hasta eso. And I remember he would always be like, oh, like, we're going to be each other's first. I'm like, okay, bitch, I'm waiting. Yeah. Because that was so sacred to me. It really was. I think for some people it's really easy. Yeah. Like, but for me, baby, that shit's still embarrassing me. I'm like, can you turn off the light? I'd be like, can you put it back? Imagínate. No.
You're like, can we not do it?
Yeah. Like, wait. Or, yeah, I'm going to keep my shirt on still. Yes. And my husband would be like, what the fuck? I'm like, shut the fuck up. I'm just like, So that was something very, very sacred to me. We waited a bit or whatever. And actually, when what's crazy is when I got pregnant, we weren't together. We were on a break where I guess we were being toxicos or whatever. But since I wouldn't have sex with anyone else, I would still, Mom, Dad, por favor, no miren.
The urges.
Yes, I would, I would call him to have sex, because I wasn't going to have sex. Because I said, like, that was very sacred to me. I was like talking to other guys, like here and there, just like high school guys. And he was always the type where, like, if I caught him over I would open the door and he would be recording, because he would be like, no, bitch, like, they're going to know, because he would get pissed off that I was talking to other people. Oh, he was one of those. He needed video evidence. So he'd be like, let me take it. I'm like, get the fuck out of my face.
He's like, let us record this.
Yeah. He's like, no. He was one of those. And I'm like, okay, like, it's not that serious, because he would get pissed off with that. But a lot of the other guys I would talk to, like, they had cars and stuff, so, like, I would use them for rides. Like, it was high school. Like, that's what...
Los otros hombres te calentaban y tu novio te terminaba.
Exactly. Literal. There you go. And it's like, oh, like, I'm hungry. They would, like, give me something to eat, like, that's how it was back then. Yeah. And so every time I would open the door and, like, I'm like, I'm gonna fucking smash your phone on your head. So we weren't together, and I remember the day I actually got pregnant. I had a feeling that I was gonna be pregnant, which is crazy. But I remember telling him, like, hey, like, do you think I need a plan B? And he's like, no, like, I think we're good. I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't need a plan B. And he would be like, no. Like, I'm like, and I remember that, and I'm like, no, you know what? I'm gonna go get a plan B.
Pero él te había dicho that he had you or anything like that?
He said that we were fine, like that he put out on time, because we were having unprotected sex, no birth control. Hasta eso, okay. So that's why too, like when people are like, oh, like, did you plan? I didn't plan my teen pregnancy, but tampoco I don't believe in accidents, because I knew exactly the consequences of what can happen. Yo acostándome con él, no condom, and no birth control. Hello. So tampoco, I don't think kids are accidents when you know what can happen. So I remember saying, he's like, no, like, I'm like, it's fine, this and that. It was a Friday, right? So, and then I remember I texted one of my friends from high school, and I was like, hey, like, I think I might need a plan B. And she's like, no, like, I think you're okay. And mind you, I had a weekend job. So it was just like I could have easily, like, I didn't even need my parents' money or anyone's money. And I just trusted it. I told my friend, and she's like, no, are you sure? And I was like, well, he said no. And she's like, okay, so maybe you're fine. I'm like, yeah. So, like, yeah, sí quedó. And I'm like, okay, yeah. And back then, I was always like, my period that day of. Yeah. Like, no pasaba. Like, I knew. So, llegó el día, and I didn't get my period. And I was like, huh. And so I already knew I was pregnant. I was like, okay, I'm pregnant. Because I was like, there's no, like, what are the fucking odds? Like,
were you scared?
No, I was fucking shitting on myself. He was actually supposed to go to San Antonio. So yo le hablo, I'm like, hey, and mind you, we still weren't together. But I told him, like, hey, like, I need a pregnancy test. And I remember he's like, for what? I'm like, are you fucking kidding? I need a pregnancy test. And I remember he still had the audacity to ask me, like, well, are you sure? Like it's mine. Yeah, like are you sure you're asking like the right person? I'm like, give me the fucking pregnancy test. Like you're pissing me the fuck off. So his best friend brought him, I remember, and he dropped it off. He's like, oh, do you want me to come in? And I slammed the door in his face. I'm like, no. Like I wanted to do it by myself. I go to, and it's crazy because I could literally close my eyes and I'm like there, like in that moment.
It takes you back.
Yeah. So I go and take the pregnancy test. No te exagero. You didn't have to wait the fuck. Was it like 2 minutes you have to wait? And no, instantly. I literally passed the fuck out. Like when I mean pass out, like I remember I heard zzz in my ear and I fell on the floor. And me levanté because I think my mom had gone home and I heard the door open. So I was like passed out for hours. I don't know if me pegué la pinche cabeza. I don't even know. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like, and I just like picked up the thing. Like she knocked. I'm like, oh, I'm going. Como si nada. And I went to my room and I was like, no, like, there's no way. Like, there's no way.
Yeah.
But I literally black out. Like,
Who did you tell first, him or your parents?
No. I told one of my best friends from high school. I bullshitted it for a while. And what's crazy is I would like go out to eat with my grandma or like with my tias and like, hey, are you okay? Like, you look like zoned out. I'm like, oh, I'm fine. And you see, in my mom, like I said, my period was always very punctual. My last period, se me acabaron las pads. So I would have to ask her. So I remember I was late y se me pasó eso. And she was like, hey, you haven't asked me to buy pads. And I was like, oh, shit. And I already got my period. She was like, but you finished them. And I was like, oh, no, I found some. Pero like, she was like, well, like, you know, because I had to. Yes. And yo también. And I was like, and she was like, are you sure? I'm like, yes. Like, and I would get offended. I would gaslight the situation. I was a gaslighter.
You're like, I would fucking know when I'm bleeding.
Yeah, and I would get mad. I'm like, what? I would tell you, like, you know, like, because I was trying to, like, brush off the situation. But I was just fucking thinking, like, there's no way. And mind you, I didn't even take another pregnancy test. Like, that was the only one then.
And by then, you hadn't even told your man.
No. Y yo también me hice, but like, I was like, no, like, there's no way. Like, and I was just so, and I was like thinking. And so like one night, I was with my Aunt Ashley. I don't even remember where we had gone. But then like, yeah, like at that time, like my conscience was eating me up. So like, I like told him like, hey, like I haven't gotten my period. And so she looked at me and she said, well, can you be pregnant? And I said, yes. And I didn't even tell her I knew I was pregnant. Even to that moment, like me, I was like, no, because maybe that pregnancy was wrong. I was like, why am I going to tell her?
Yeah.
And mind you, my dad had just, my dad and my mom, they had just bought me a car. My dad was fixing it up. Like literally at that moment.
Y le saliste con esto.
Yes. So and then my aunt, I remember her dad was out of town. So she's like, well, we could go take the pregnancy test there. And I remember she told me, she's like, you know, we'll take it. She's like, I won't tell anyone. Like, you know, we'll just, maybe you could just tell your mom, maybe if you could get on birth control, make something up or just use condoms. And like, but I won't say anything. I'm like, okay. So we went to her dad's house. No one was there. We took it instantly because again, by then I had already probably been like a month and a half. I'm sure I acted like, but I already knew. I already knew that I was pregnant, but I like just couldn't accept it. And so like we're like both crying or whatever. And honest, like she's like, well, I have to like call your mom. Like, you know, you have to tell your mom. I'll call her. And I didn't tell my parents. She did. To this, like I was too
scared.
I was too pussy. And honestly, to this, like, even now, like, I don't think I would have been, like, now that I go back to him, I'm just like, I still wouldn't have been able to do it. My aunt calls, it's on speaker, and my dad answers. And it's my mom's phone. And she's like, hey, like, where's April? Like, I need to talk to her, right? And I was like, oh, like, se está bañando. And I guess he could hear, like, her voice, and he's like, oh, está todo bien, like, you know? And she's like, sí, nomás dile que me hable. And he's like, pero está todo bien, like, because you could tell her, you know, in her voice.
Her tone.
Yes, and my dad was just like, oh, like, I could go get her out now, you know, and she's like, pues sí. And so he was like, okay, pues, ¿qué pasó? And my aunt was just like, just ve, sácala de bañarse. And so, like, she comes out, and I'm assuming it's on speaker.
Yeah.
My aunt tells my mom, like, oh, like, Ariel's pregnant. And honestly, I can't even tell you that because I, like, literally, like, blacked out. Like, I don't even remember, but I'm pretty sure they were, like, yelling. And I think my dad was just like, apenas se compré el carro, was fixing it. And I'm pretty, like, everyone was just crying.
Yeah.
And we're really close to my other aunt, Melissa. She's 5 years older than me, but my aunt Ashley and her, they're, like, 3 years apart. So we're all, like, super close. So then she called her, and she's like, oh, I'm on my way. And
so se hizo todo un pedo.
Yes. And mind you, like, I had called my best friend to pick me up. because I'm not going back home. Like, how am I gonna go? Like, what?
Yeah.
So I had called her, and I was just like, and my aunt was like, no, you're going back home. Like, oh, bitch, you're going back home, not me.
Yeah.
So and mind you, like, it was my aunt's dad's house. Y él ni cuenta, he was out on a trip, and everyone was fighting there. The thing is with the teen pregnancies, everyone in my family was a teen mom. So my mom and then my two aunts were teen moms. So it really was about breaking generational curses with me. And just how I said earlier, I was very book smart.
Yeah.
And so, when I got older, I really wanted to be a nurse. Like, nursing was like, it was teacher or nurse, and then I decided to be a nurse because teachers were underpaid. It was all about college. Like, I was going to be that one to graduate. And no one graduated in my family. They have GEDs.
Did you feel like you disappointed
Yes.
them?
And I think that's why, too, so because it's like, it was all on me. Like, because they didn't finish school. So it was really about breaking generational curses at that moment. And it's like, I had it all. Like, I literally had like the world literally in the palm of my hand, and when I got pregnant, like, it literally felt like it was over.
Nos contaste un poquito de que tu papá te corrió. Was that because of the pregnancy?
Yes. So I don't think they don't like not that they kicked, but I think that it was like I could not face him.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want to see them, so I was like, I think I deserve to get kicked out. Yo también. Like, I was like, no, like,
I'll pack my shit and go.
Yes. And mind you, like I said, my husband, he was in San Antonio.
When it all happened?
Yeah, when it all happened. So I'm calling him, and he's like, well, I'm in San Antonio. I'm like, well, bitch, you had to come back. And he was on vacation. He has an older brother, so his older brother at that time and his sister.
Pero ya le habías dicho tú a él?
Yeah, I did. I had told him already. I told him on text, hasta eso. And he was like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, I am. So I think él también, like, no se la creyó. And so I called him the night when everyone was like, I was like, hey, like, I just told my parents. Like, my aunts found out. My aunts had to tell my parents. My best friend from high school se llamaba Yamile. So I'm like, hey, like, Yamile's like on her way to pick me up, like this and that. He's like, what do you mean? What's going on? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I told you I was pregnant. Y él tampoco no se la creyó. So I think it wasn't a big deal. Because I think le dije I was pregnant, and then we just started talking like, como si nada.
Como si nada.
Yeah, and then we were like, oh, like, what are you doing? Like, this and that. Like, it reality didn't hit. And
I think also because you guys were so young that you're like, what do you mean, girl?
Exactly. Yeah, y también, like I'm saying, into that night when, like, the adults found out. Because at the moment, I wasn't an adult. You know, we really were children having a child. We were. And to this day, it's like, I don't glorify teen pregnancy. I really don't, because that shit was hard. Like, I had to grow up, you know? And it's like I did it to myself. I have always said, you'll never, at any age, you'll never be ready to have a child. I strongly believe that. You could be 26, 30, whatever. But back then I was a teen, we were fucking broke. So the difference between when I got pregnant as a teen and when I had my daughter, I didn't have financial worries. My husband, we were already stable.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're worrying about, like, being a first-time parent, a teen mom. You have literally no family talking to you, and then you're still fucking broke when a child is so expensive. So, like, the financial burden was literally insane. Like, and he didn't even have a job back then. He had literally just quit his job because he was gonna go to school full time. We were like jobless, and I
you're
had
like, no, ma'am.
Yeah, sorry.
Get back to work. Fuck your dreams.
Get that social working.
Literally.
That night, I ended up going with my best friend. And then until he came home from San Antonio, he picked me up. And I remember that night he called his mom, and his mom was having a party at her house. So me platicó, like, that night, like, she was out, and he's like, hey, I need to talk to you. And she's like, oh, what's up, mijo? And he was like, no, like, I really need to talk to you. She's like, well, what's going on? Like, hurry, like, I have people over. Yeah. And he's like, no, like,
take a shot.
Yeah, he's like, bitch, I'm about to black out, mijo.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like, it's something serious. And she's like, okay, like, what's wrong? Like, what happened? Y también, like, mind you, like, he's always been really to himself. So to this day, my mother me platica, like, that he didn't know he was even dating anyone. So we had been dating for years, and, like, she knew of me, pero since it wasn't that relationship of, like, oh, like, come over, like, let me go over, like, nomás de...
Es que eran niños todavía.
Exactly, yes. So la conocí maybe, like, 2 times. Y también a lo mejor se le imaginó, like, oh, you know, they just talk, yeah. You know, because we were so young, you date other people or whatever. So she was really confused. Like, what do you mean you got someone pregnant? What do you mean? Hasta ella. Like, it was, so it's like, and at that moment, you don't think about how it literally affects everyone.
Yeah.
Like, you're just worried about, nomás estaba jorneada ese momento, ¿me entiendes?
Yeah.
But you don't really think about how it literally affects everyone.
Because not everyone has to turn everything around. And they'll be like, ¿qué vamos a hacer con esto?
Exactly. And you see, and it shouldn't be like that. It should just be our problem. But because we were fucking kids, it was everyone's problem.
How was your pregnancy overall? Do you feel like you had a very smooth pregnancy? Like, aparte de, like, the economic parts, do you feel like you struggled being pregnant, or just in general, like, tuviste batallas?
Towards the end, I did have preeclampsia. So I actually had to give birth a little sooner than what I wanted to. But I was just very depressed. Like it wasn't, and I was very, very embarrassed. I was going into my senior year. And Julian had just graduated, so I remember telling him like, it's because like you don't know like the stairs, like this and that. And at the end of the day, it's like I was the one that was gonna have the stomach anyways, you know. So like the stairs, like everyone knowing that I had sex. Please, I don't need people to know I'm horny. No, it was just like and like I said, like my family didn't really talk to me. I really just at that time I really had my mother-in-law. I have the best mother-in-law in the world. I will do anything for that lady. Like to this day, like I owe her so much. She's an incredible, even now, like a grandma to my kids. She literally became my mom for that time period because it was a very, very difficult time. And even when my mom would call me, it was kind of more just to check up on me just to see that I'm alive because like we wouldn't talk. It was extremely hard because like I said, I'm very family oriented and not talking to her, and I just felt I was so embarrassed. I think too, like, I knew she didn't want to talk to me because, you know, she was hurt, she was disappointed, but yo también, like, put myself back. Like, yo también, like, I really isolated myself because I was so embarrassed. Like I said, I was, like, the one, like, oh, you're going to go to college, you're going to go out of state, you're going to do this and that. And not that that's not possible, but, okay, let's be realistic. And that's what people don't realize. Like, you have to be realistic. Yeah, you could go to college, but how the hell am I going to go to college 6 states away and be in a dorm with the baby? Yeah. Like, be realistic, you know? So, like, it affects everyone. And
it just makes everything harder.
Yes. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, and I'm like, oh, struggling, like, oh, like, you know, I could get, financial aid, this and that. It doesn't even matter no more because I need fucking money to buy diapers.
All the financial aid money was going to go to the baby, not to your actual studies. Yeah,
it doesn't fucking matter. So that's what I didn't realize. Like, it was just very, very hard. And even now, like, I've always tried, like, not to think about those moments because I was always so close to my mom. Yeah. Like, you know, my mom's always, and it's like, she's always been so hardworking, you know, like, to give me anything. Like, I was never a troubled teen. Like, no le di problemas. Like, if I did, she'll shut that shit down. And, okay, I learned my lesson. Yeah. Like, I didn't need to be like, oh, no, no. Like, if my mom said no, bitch, it's no.
So you literally just felt like you let not just yourself, but everyone around you down because todos te tenían acá arriba, te embarazas, y boom.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is during that time, my uncle's wife was pregnant. And they knew it was going to be a girl, so he actually wanted to name the baby Ariel. Because I've always been his favorite.
And you're like, no, she disappointed
us.
Yeah,
and I was like, no, bitch, darn it.
Literally?
Yes, I'm not even joking.
Wait, was this the same pregnancy where you were kind of like with your mom pregnant at the same time too?
No, yes.
How was that?
Yes.
You know, obviamente you're pregnant, you almost feel isolated, and then was that like a big reason why you almost didn't want her to be pregnant too?
Yes, because I already like felt like because it's embarrassing. Like I was already so embarrassed of being a teen parent, in which now that I think about it, maybe I shouldn't have been so embarrassed. I think I could have done things differently, just for my sake, you know. But I really felt like it was the end of the world. And you know, and back then, I mean, it was seen, but I think like compared to it was 2016, 2017. So 2017 to now it's like yeah. I think if I would be a teen parent now, ya no se me hace tan embarrassing that part. But back then, I think there was only like a handful of girls that you would see in high school be pregnant.
And in school, I feel like when people are pregnant in school, I feel like the kids empiezan a hablar.
Yes.
Mira, se embarazó. Mira, qué grande se está poniendo.
Yes.
Or sometimes my school had like a little daycare. Mira, trae el chamaco también a la escuela. People would talk. Yes. You know what I mean? So I'm sure you were like, oh no, bitch. Like,
yes, exactly.
Van a comer aquí.
No, it was terrible. So I ended up graduating early. So I am class of 2018, but I finished in 2017. Nomás caminé with my class in 2018, which I was fine because I had already given birth and everything. Like, ya valió, I don't care. So I graduated in 2017 and I was home. I finished, it was December 2017. And then you didn't walk until May of 2018.
Was that hard to like be able to balance, you know, being pregnant and also being able to be like, no, mi amor, te pones las pilas porque tienes que terminar la escuela.
No, yes. And that's what too. And I remember like, I know that was one of my mom's biggest issues, like thinking that I wasn't gonna finish. Like I said, no one has graduated in my family. Everyone has gotten a GED. Everyone in my family is successful. So now my family is literally like a prime example of you don't need a degree to be successful. Everyone in my family is successful. They are.
I love that.
And one way or another, they make it. So I don't even believe like. But back then it wasn't like back then no, like I need to have a degree. Back then it was like if I don't have a degree, I'm literally gonna be homeless.
Or even like people that are successful le batallaron mucho. So I'm sure your parents are like Le quieres batallar también
exactly.
así.
And I think that's why too, since my parents were young parents, they're big, like they didn't and now that I'm a parent myself, I completely understand. Back then I'm like, what, what the hell are you saying? But back, they just didn't want me to struggle.
Yeah.
And it's crazy is because before I got pregnant, my mom knew I was having sex because she actually had caught Julian at my house. She had caught us having sex.
Like you guys having sex?
So we had just finished having sex.
Oh, okay.
Yes, not daring.
Not
Thank you.
like during.
I really would have been here. I really would have been here.
Yeah, muerta estuviera la amiga.
Yes, but thank God that it was my mom and not my dad because then but it was, yeah. So she had caught me and she slapped the shit. That's the one and only time my mom literally slapped the shit out of me.
You're like, there's your trauma.
In front of him. Like in front of, and we like my husband would try to bring it up to joke. I'm like, no, it's too soon still. Like we still don't bring it up to my mom. Like we never talk about that. Like we don't bring that up.
Today's episode is brought to you by Alma. Alma believes that therapy is more impactful when you feel heard and understood. That's why they help people find a therapist who really gets them, the right someone to talk to, not just anyone. Alma can help you find a therapist who gets you. When you browse the directory, you can filter by what you want to focus on, for example, anxiety, relationship, or big life transitions, as well as any preference around gender, sexuality, faith, and more. Alma can help you find a therapist who takes your insurance. People who find in-network care through Alma save an average of 77% on the cost of therapy. It's easy to get started with Alma. Browse the directory without creating an account or sharing payment information. You can book a free consultation call with any therapist you're interested in seeing. These 15-minute calls give you a chance to see if they're a good fit for you so you can find someone you really click with. Even though I'm currently not in therapy, I know the importance of having someone in my life who truly understands where I'm coming from. For those of you guys that follow me, obviamente ustedes saben that the past month and a half has been one of the hardest months of my life, and going through everything I've been through this past month with my grandpa's passing, I wish I could have been in therapy prior and during the process to really help me kind of navigate these feelings of grief y todo lo que he estado sintiendo este último mes, amigas. Pero no es muy tarde to join therapy. If you've been considering finding a licensed professional to help you work through your own life challenges, give Alma a try. Alma can help you find the right therapist for you, not just anyone. Visit helloalma.com/Alan to get started and schedule a free consultation today. That's helloalma.com/Alan. Te embarazas as a teen and then not too long ago te vuelves a embarazar. How was that pregnancy different from your first? I'm sure it was a big difference.
Yeah, so it was a big difference in the aspect of like we were financially stable. My husband already had his career and everything. But it was actually, I would say it was worse than Joseph's because the baby had gotten diagnosed with spina bifida. So in the spine, her spine wasn't attaching. She had a big hole in the middle of her spine. So she had like two pieces of the spine instead of it being one. She was supposed to like not be able to walk. She could have had club feet when it's like the feet go in.
Yeah.
So just like all these problems. And I remember when I found out I got pregnant, we weren't trying, but we were not trying, if that makes sense. Until I was in nursing school at that time. But I was like, no, like by the time I have the baby, I would already graduate. So like it should be fine. Like at the beginning, I was feeling so selfish because since Joseph is special needs, I was just like how selfish is it of me to try to have another baby when my first baby needs extra attention more than the average child, when an average child already needs so much attention. But I was like, no, but then I feel bad because like he's by himself. And my thing with Joseph is when I was younger, I used to always be scared of dying. But that's because I didn't really know heaven and hell. I'm like, oh, like, ¿qué va a pasar? I was like, oh my God, I knew about God, but I just didn't know what was going to happen. When I had Joseph, I started getting the fear that's like, he is nonverbal. So it's like, I got the sense of like, okay, I'm not scared of dying no more because I know heaven and hell and hopefully I want to go to heaven, please. I don't want to burn to death, for eternity or anything. But then when I had Joseph, it's like, I'm scared of dying because I don't want to leave him by himself because he's nonverbal. Yeah. So, and then I'm like, no, like maybe if he has a sibling, not that it would be the siblings, tampoco just, so the sibling can take care of Joseph. But because, like, what if something happens, like, and he's by himself? Maybe he will be independent, but just for someone to check up on him. Yeah. Because if he's an only child, then, it's not the same having a sibling or a cousin, But that has always been and even now, like, if you ask me, it's like, I have came to acceptance with God and heaven and hell, but that's like, I don't want to die. And I know I have to, but I really don't because I can't stand leaving, like, even like thinking about like he's gonna be here and like no one's gonna understand him and you know, I love kids. I love every child but it's like when you have a special needs child, it really gets to you because it's like, he's like so innocent. Yeah. He is like, he lives like in a bubble. His world is so perfect. And sometimes when I'm having a bad day or something, I'm just like I wish that I could like think like him because he has no problems whatsoever. He is just so happy. Like with any little thing. And yeah, he has sometimes he can be like a little bipolar, like he has aggressive states. But even like when he's having an aggressive state, I can look at him and I'm like, this isn't even him. Yeah. Like I just know that it's a bad moment. And that's why I always say like it's just a bad day, not a bad life. But his bubble is like literally insane. Like, you know, kids are pure and all of this. You know, every child is pure.
Para los que no saben qué es lo que tiene.
He has autism. I'm sorry. Yes, he's nonverbal. I would say he's semi-verbal now. He says like one or two phrases, but overall he's nonverbal.
When did you start noticing that he was a little different? Did you have like a moment where you're like, oh, like I'm seeing his milestones aligned with like the your typical child? Like when did you find out, or when did you be like, you know what, I want to go get him checked, a ver qué tiene? Did you have a moment?
It was so hard too because we lived with my mother-in-law for 3 years, you know, until we got our life together or whatever. In the Hispanic community, it's always like, oh, like el niño está chiflado, or like put him down, like, you know, porque se va a embrasilar, which is, you know, but it's like, oh, está chiflado, like, no, just do this or do that. And two, one of my biggest regrets back then is like, since I was a teen parent, I would rely a lot on other people. Like I would call like or to ask my mother-in-law or ask someone else, my grandma, my mom. I would rely on them a lot to parent because it was hard because I didn't know anything. Yeah. So they're like, no, do this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I think like deep down, like I always knew, and especially when he hit 2 years old, he started going backwards. Like you would call him, like he would not turn around. It's like he wasn't even here on earth. He wouldn't look at you, like nothing. And two, he would at first like say like mama, like he reached his milestones and then he completely went backwards. Like he was completely silenced. No te miraba, no volteaba, like literally like no estaba aquí el niño. Like his behavior was just like terrible. Like he would climb, and he, even to this day, he has no sense of danger. If you tell that man he can jump off the roof, he's gonna jump off my roof, and he has no sense like, oh shit. Like yes, he's not like that. And he has no fears whatsoever. Like, I'm talking about, I'm like, oh, chica, like something.
Yeah, you should be scared of that.
Yeah, and so I have to tell him, like, hey, like, this can happen. Like, you have to really sit there. And so back then, I'm like, he's not like he is. And my mother-in-law had a 2-story house. So with the stairs, I'm like, hey, like, you need to be. But he would never grasp it. And two, he always wanted to be naked. Always. Like, he couldn't put on a long sleeve, short pant. It did not, socks, nothing. It didn't matter. So I remember, and I'm like, no, like something's wrong. And I remember I would tell Julian, like, hey, like I think we need to get him, like something's wrong. Like I wouldn't even think I would say tested, but I'm like, I think I need to talk to a pediatrician because back I didn't know no one with autism. I didn't, and even back then, no, like
it wasn't talked as much.
It wasn't talked about. It wasn't out. And you see, and sometimes too, I think about like I feel so bad for like kids like way back then when it wasn't known. Like imagine how they lived their life like suffering because autism wasn't like so known. Like there wasn't no resources for it, and that's like I can't imagine how you could live a world like that, you know. Or two, like I said in the Hispanic, like how like, oh, nomás está chiflado, or like, and it's very hard to accept. It is, because even now, like to this day, I remember after he got diagnosed and stuff, my first instinct, like at a store or something, oh, I'm sorry, he's autistic. Oh my God, I'm sorry, he's autistic. And I'm just like, how am I sitting here like having to explain myself, and like I'm trying to advocate for autism. I'm like, oh, autism is autism. But it's like, I'm not even accepting autism. How am I going to be how am I going to advocate for my son if I can't even accept it? And I remember, like I said, I always knew deep down, and you have to talk to a pediatrician, and we did early intervention, and she even said like, maybe we should wait a year to get him tested because he was 2. I was like, maybe at 3. I always knew deep down. I just kind of, you know, it's just a motherly, I'm a big believer in motherly instincts. Yeah. Like when you give birth, like, I don't know, God made the body perfect, and he knows like when you have a child, like the switch flips and you have your motherly instinct. It's literally like a superpower. And I think Julian too also knew, but I think with the man, it's just he's not very good with feelings. Yeah. So not that he would brush it off, but he was like, okay, well, like whatever you think. And he's always been that way. Like, oh, like, okay, well, whatever you think. Okay, if you want to do that, that's fine. But sometimes it's like, I don't need support. I need to know your opinion.
Yeah.
And to this day, like, I think, honestly, if we have an argument, it's sometimes kind of, it's like, okay, I know, like, I'm right, but can you tell, you know?
Yeah, like, what are you thinking?
But he's always been
even
like
though
that.
you're wrong. Like, ¿qué estás pensando?
Yeah, like, I just want to hear your wrongness. And no, I've always, and too, like, I tied my tubes with my second child. And I remember I asked him, like, what do you think? He's like, what's your body? I'm like, I know, but like, what do you think? He's like, what's your body? Like, whatever, you know, this and I'm just like, you know, because I kind of wanted him to tell me like yes or no.
Like
not
input
that,
as your partner. Yes,
but he's always been like that. Like that's a big topic that we saw. I'm like, hey, like I need you. I love that you're supportive, but sometimes I don't need support. I need opinion, which is, you know, because sometimes it's like, if you keep telling me that I'm right, then like, what if I'm not right at that moment?
You're like, me lo voy a creer y para todo voy a tener la razón.
And you know.
So how did you find out? Like, did you guys wait like a year? Or?
Yes. So we ended up waiting a year, and when we went to go get him evaluated, it's like at a different doctor. It's a specialist. We walk in, he literally took off all his clothes. He was in the waiting room naked. And I remember I looked over at Julian, and he tells me like, oh, they don't even need to test him. Like, tell him just to put it on paper. And I'm like, oh. Because he could not stand close. And we went back there, and we you know, we got the diagnosis, and it was crazy, like seeing it in paper, like literally like
synced in.
Yes, synced in, and it like literally felt like day one again when I had speculations that he was gonna be autistic. Because seeing it in paper, me just thinking like I didn't want to be right. Like for the first time in my life, that was a moment right there. It was like I don't want to be right. I don't. And like I said, it was already very hard being teen parents. You know, we financially struggled, and it's crazy because it's like they say like with your first one you go through everything, and they're not like, because I even remember cuando Joseph estaba chiquito, like newborn, maybe unos 3 meses, we had Julian had gotten his first car. It was like a Jeep that we bought off someone. It didn't have no AC, so back then you had to rear face the car seat.
Yeah.
So I remember I would sit back there with the fan, like with the like, you know, this, like I'm just like, and I remember too in those moments I would think like, it's crazy. Like I'm literally a teen. Like it's a financial struggle.
Yeah.
Someone that is 35 or 25 and has financial freedom can go buy a new fucking car because it's fucking hot. We live in Texas. It's 120 degrees outside. You go through everything when you're first starting. Sometimes I'm just like, I can't imagine what he was thinking. And, you know, I do believe he was born with autism. I don't believe that you just, you know, I believe he was born that way. So it's like, imagine like, I'm sure he was probably like, what the hell was that? You know?
Yes. How was it like, you know, obviamente está en la noticia, te cambia la vida. ¿Qué cosas cambiaron? You know, what was your day-to-day life looking at now after the diagnosis? Do you feel like you had to implement a lot of things and a lot of things did have to change?
The day that we left the specialist, I remember clearly that night when everyone was asleep, like how I just Googled search, like I went down a rabbit hole on Google. And, you know, Google sometimes it's not the best the best help. But I went down a rabbit hole just like, like therapies and this and that. But then I remember, and I vividly remember, I like locking my phone, and it was just like me and God at that moment. Because like I said, we didn't know anyone, and it's not the same talking like to Julian sometimes. So it was literally just me and God at that moment. And I would ask him for like strength and patience, because I was just like, you know, if I think that I needed patience yesterday, tomorrow I'm going to need more patience, because now I know that he's autistic. And a lot of people don't see that, how it's a lot of lonely nights. And it's even to this day now, he's almost 7. He's 6 now. He'll be 7 in February. I still have lots of those lonely nights with it's just me and God that I talk to. And that's why too, I think my relationship with God has gotten better, because there's could be moments that I'm looking at Joseph and I have to close my eyes and be like, God, please give me strength, please give me patience. Yeah. Because it's completely different than a regular child, you know? And me entiende todo, don't get me wrong, you know? But sometimes it's more of how you have to go things. Like maybe this child, you could tell him one time, but sometimes Joseph, I have to tell him 3 times, because, you know, or I'm like, hey, like this, and that. And we do ABA therapy. It's therapy just designed for autism. And back then, that therapy is so freaking expensive. And they don't take Medicaid or none of that. It's like insurance.
Like out of pocket.
Yes, because the government, like, you know, those government things, they don't see it as like needed. Because ABA is more like, well, si puedes, but it's not needed. Your child's, you know, it's not.
Your child's alive.
Yes,
that's how they see it.
That's how they see it. It's not. It's kind of like medical, I get, you know.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until my husband got his career going. You know, he has a career. He's financially stable. We have insurance, and he started ABA. The little boy that Joseph was at 3 years old when he got diagnosed, he's not the same little boy. You could tell he's autistic. Don't get me wrong, but like
avanzado mucho.
Yes, advanced. It's like if you see him, pues no sabes, ¿me entiendes? And he goes out in public. He knows when and where to do things.
Yeah.
Now he goes and he wears his clothes. Hey, what that? He'll turn around. Hey, come here. And he's bilingual. No habla, but he's bilingual. ¿Me entienden los dos? I'm like, hey, cierra la puerta. He'll close the door. He's obsessed with turning off the lights. Yes, he is a light person. Me paga todas las luces. He loves to be in the dark. He is literally obsessed with the light switches. There's been times where I'm on TikTok live and he'll go turn off the lights and they're on the comments and they're like, oh, it's time for bed. Joseph said we have to be in the dark. We live in the dark. He loves to be in the dark. It's because he really knows like cuando, like when it's bedtime, he's like, okay, everyone's going to bed. Like, bitch, if I'm going to sleep, you are too.
If I'm sleeping, you too, bitch.
En la mañana cuando se levanta, everyone's up. Everyone. He's like that. Cuando se levanta, he's ready for his day to start. He don't got time, oh, let's lay up, let's cuddle. Hell no.
You do wake up pretty early because today you texted me like at 8 o'clock. I saw it and I was like...
But, you know, it would have been 10 in Houston.
Oh,
So I actually slept in Houston. But here, yeah, I'm always up at like 6 o'clock. I'm up really, really early. I like to wake up before the kids because... Silver to that kids, I need a break first.
But do you feel like he's doing so much better now? Obviamente durante el tiempo con todo lo que le han ayudado, you know, taking him to the doctors, specialists. ¿Sientes que sí le ha ayudado muchísimo?
He's literally a completely different child. I really do owe a lot to therapy. And I am just honestly so blessed that we are like financially able to give him the therapy that he needs that is suited for him. Yeah, it's beautiful to see his progress.
Nos estabas contando hace poco, you know, de tu hija también que salió con algo when you were pregnant. Cuéntanos un poquito más de eso, you know, qué es lo que tenía y cómo te afectó el saber lo que tenía.
So during that time when I was pregnant, I can actually tell you the day that I found out that she had spina bifida, that she was supposed to have spina bifida. It was December 6th. I clearly remember that day. I actually had a wedding planned for January of the next month.
Like your wedding?
Yes, my wedding was in January, right? So I was pregnant. This was 2022, going into 2023. I had a destination wedding planned. It was going to be in Cancun. So after I found out about her having spina bifida and stuff, I didn't even know her gender yet. But they caught that quick. It literally just ruined like my whole pregnancy because I was just like, there's absolutely no way. Like I was being selfish and I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm going to have 2 special needs children. Yeah. I was just like, I had already felt so much guilt getting pregnant because I had a special needs child. I was like, how am I going to add another one? Like, how is that fair to everyone? So I literally like went straight into depression. Like it was very, very difficult. I was supposed to have a gender reveal too también in December. Ni lo hice. I found out her gender just like me and Julian at home. And that was it. So I had my wedding was planned for January and they're like, oh, like, you shouldn't travel, like this and that. Mind you, it was a destination wedding in Cancun. Everything was, it was paid for, family, this and that. My whole family went to Cancun in January y nosotros nos fuimos. Everyone, it was paid. Everyone went.
Yeah.
So to this day, they roast me. They're like, oh yeah, that one time when you said, I'm just like, at least I sent you to Cancun, bitch. Yeah. I'm like, you should be happy. Because sometimes I'm like, oh, let's go on vacation. They're like, we're not going nowhere with you. I'm like, bro, come on. But gracias a Dios, la niña salió like perfect, healthy. And that's why too, I think, you know, and I think like it all goes back down to like God, like literally never fails.
Yeah.
Like, until I had to see God those moments of my pregnancy, because I was like, there's no way. Like I didn't feel it. Like I would see it in the ultrasound, and we had pictures, and they would print them out and circle, and I would go to specialists, and they're like this, and I was like, no, like I just don't, I just don't think so. Like I was like, something about like God's not telling me that. Julian would be like, yeah, like maybe not, maybe they're wrong, maybe, you know. And I was like they have to be wrong because God is not telling me. Yeah. I was just like God would tell me because I'm talking to him every night. Like he has to tell me.
So it was like a fake diagnosis?
No. Okay, no. So it was real. So the whole prank. So from December all the way, I had her in June. I went to specialists, doctors, and she had it. And then I believe when I was like 6 months, the hole in her spine, it closed. But now there was a lump on her neck.
Oh.
And due to ultrasound, they're like, well, we can't tell you specifically what it is. You know, the ultrasound just shows the lump. She's like, maybe when she's born, she needs surgery to remove it. It could be fluid, X, Y, and Z. Y como quiera te quedan igual. Like, you know, you're still in las mismas. She was born June 6th. I had a C-section. I have C-sections with my kids. She came out, and I told you, I was like, Julian, get up and look at her neck, and he's fine. I was like, look at her neck. Like I was like, please look, like no, no,
like expect her.
Yes,
yeah.
And she was perfectly healthy.
How was that moment for you? Obviamente,
no, it was unreal. And I remember he was like, she's fine. I'm like, no, like I'm just gonna wait till I see her. And he's like, I promise. Like, no, I need to see her. So I'm laying there. I'm like, oh, like please hurry up because I needed to see her. Like I didn't feel that comfort, or I didn't feel that comfort until I was holding her. I'm like, okay, she is perfectly healthy. And like I said, that's why too, it's like that was really a miracle from God, because I'm telling you, like even now I have the ultrasound picture where they would circle and they would like, oh look, this highlight and videos, and like, oh, you need to go, I would go see a cardiologist and see all of these things. I'm just like, but it's crazy because at the like the not that I wasn't worried, but like God really didn't let me worry too much, because he would literally comfort me, because I was like, there's no way, like there's no way. Like I really feel like those months God was telling me like, no, like a miracle's gonna, don't worry, like so why he did it, I have no idea, but I just really, I was like, it's because there's no way.
We've talked previously on other podcasts about postpartum, and I feel like it's such a very important subject that we should be talking about, because siento como que todavía hay mucha gente que no cree en eso.
It gets overseen.
No, ponte a hacer otra cosa. Depression isn't even real. And it is. Do you feel like you struggled, with any of your pregnancies, with postpartum, with anxiety, or any of that?
With Joseph, I would say I had the depression due to not having any family, and I was so young. So, like, with everything being kind of new, it was, like, very scary. I was very naive. And back then it was like just like an everyday, like, okay, like let me just try to live day by day. With Emerlyn, it was extremely hard because I was in nursing school. I had to quit nursing school. And I know this is so selfish, and I even to this day I always regret feeling like this, but I was so jealous of my husband that he had his life figured out. Like he had his career, and like I felt like I had nothing. Even though I had everything, but it's like, it's because of him. And he's always, and I remember telling him, he'd be like, dude, like, I do everything for you. Like, why do you think? But it's like, the hormones, I'm just like I have nothing. Like, at that time, I felt like the biggest loser ever. Like, I was like, I have nothing. Like, at that moment, I was just a mom and a wife, and that was it. Like, that it didn't matter. Yeah. Like, and I was like, I don't want that.
Like, you didn't feel like you had anything going on for yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I mean, I was like, how is this, like, how am I just gonna be known for a mom? And I remember too, I would get, like, when I would go out, like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I would be so fucking pissed off to say, I'm like, like, I'm just staying home mom. But now that, like, being a stay-at-home, it's a job. Yeah. I don't care what anyone says. I will go to war. Yes. Stay-at-home moms it's literally never ending. Like, you get to, and I told my husband that, I'm like, you get to go to work. Yes, you're stressed and it's hard work. No one's saying that. If you go clock in, it's work. But you get to clock out. If you're at home after your 9 to 5 and they call you, we're gonna be like, oh bitch, I'm not at work. I'm not answering that. I'll deal with that tomorrow. Because yes, it's work. But when you're a stay-at-home mom, if your baby gets a fever at 2 a.m, oh, I had to wait till 8 a.m. No, bitch, you're gonna get up at 2 a.m.
It's like an ongoing job.
Yes, it never stops. And you see, my husband, like I said, and back then too, like I said, he had to look like. And back then, I was just so selfish, and I'd be like, oh, like, I would see him asleep, and he would piss me the fuck off. Yeah. Be like, but he had to wake up at 3 a.m. Yeah. So it's like, how am I going to wake up at 1 a.m. that I need a bottle? But he has to wake up in 2 hours to literally go clock in. Yeah. But back then, I had very bad rage. I would get so, like I'm saying, I would see him there, I'm like, there's no fucking way he's asleep right now.
Get the fuck up, te levanto yo.
Yeah, but I was just like so focused, like in that moment, I wouldn't think like, okay, like he's gonna go and get up into to go pay the bills.
But I feel like it's very valid though, because tú en ese momento tú te sentías como de que, güey, tú te vas allá, even though like you said, it is a job, you are working. Pero tú aquí te quedas con todo el desmadre.
Yeah,
you have to make sure your kids are good. You have to make sure the house is good. You have to make sure there's food.
No, sí, eso sí.
Todo.
I just think I could have gone like a little better off, because I said like I started seeing him and I was like jealous. Como me daba asco. Like, and it's like he's such a good person. Like, he literally, like, no me falta nada. Like, he is a type, like, I can ask him for something ridiculously and somehow he'll make it work. Even when we were teen parents, I have even stated this like on a TikTok live. I have never struggled financially. He has, but he has never made that an issue for me. He's gone on TikTok live, and they ask him questions, and he'll say on there like, I will work 2-3 jobs before I have to work. Aww. That's the type of person he is. So like, I just regret, because it's like he was trying and like showing me so much love, and and me, I was being a fucking hater. But I just literally, I was being a fucking hater. I was like, there's no fucking way like that. This man has a career, this and that. And
what do you feel like helped with your mental health?
Honestly, it was when I decided to pick up the camera, and when I started doing TikToks. And I remember like my aunt Ashley and stuff, and my family, they would be like, just like pick it up, because like I said, I've always been very outgoing.
Yeah.
Like I love to fucking talk. I love it. So I remember at times where they're like, just like pick up the camera, and I'd be like, I see other people doing it. At first, when I started filming, I don't know why I had this crazy idea, but I wanted to be someone online that I wasn't in person. Now that I think about it, I think it's because I fucking hated my life at that moment, because I was so down bad and I was so fucking jealous of my husband.
You felt like a loser.
Yeah, I felt like a fucking loser. So I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to be someone else because I want the validation, at least online, maybe not in real life. But you see, that's not how it should be in social media. You should be your organic self. You should be yourself, because at the end of the day, like, if you're not yourself, then who, like, then it doesn't matter. So it's like, I started like, getting followers and stuff. And I'm just like, these people don't even know me. Yeah. These people, I really don't talk like this. Like, I would not cuss or say like, jokes or whatever. It's like, that's not who I am. They don't love me still. Like, I still didn't have validation, even though that's what I was seeking, at the time. And I see a lot of people like, oh, I get on, on TikTok for like, to help financially and this and that. I've been very blessed in that aspect. I didn't do social media for money, but if you get on there and hustle for that money, you get it. That's amazing. That, hats off to you. But me, it really was for, like, I was like, no, like, I need to make a name for myself. Yeah. So honestly, my videos, I noticed my videos started doing good when I started showing my personality. Yeah. Because I've always said this, when you have a video go viral, yes, it's amazing. You get the views, you get all of this.
But it's that one viral video.
Exactly. And people don't really, yes, you get followers, but engagement is always better than followers. And some people, when you're first starting, you're like, no, I need followers. And then too, because you need that 10K to get in the creator program. When I reached 10K, the money still did not start falling. And I'm still waiting for it to fall. Yes, it pays, but for the lifestyle that I live, the lifestyle that my husband has provided for me, and what I'm used to, baby, I'm not gonna afford it. Not a damn thing. And people don't realize that. Yeah. And that's the thing too. People see us, oh, they have money, they have this, they have. Yes, I have nice things. I'm very blessed, but it's not because of TikTok. And I've said this before on TikTok, the exact words that came out, it's not because of TikTok, and people are like, no, you're lying, like this and that. I have owned 2 houses before TikTok, and it's not because of my husband. So it's like, I don't have this big house because of TikTok. Yeah. And I've said this, the money that I make from TikTok goes to Dunkin' Donuts. Yeah, it goes to Dunkin'. I'm not even gonna lie. It goes to, like, yes, I go to TJ Maxx, see,
Se gasta.
Yeah, se gasta aquí, yeah, it's money. Money is money. No one's just handing me money. I'm making it.
It's because I will say, I feel like TikTok, you can make a lot of money, but no te vas a hacer millonaria. O a lo mejor sí, porque sí ha pasado que he visto gente que se hacen millonarias. Yes. But it is like you said, I think it is very important. Y eso es lo que le estaba diciendo a ella. Like, her fan base is so, like, metidos en lo que estás haciendo.
They're like literally and that's what I said, like, I wish I could literally meet everyone, like how if we could all get in one spot, because people don't realize it. Like, these people become like, they're not even followers. Like, I hate that word. It's literally, they're supporters. Like, they know your life. Yep. It's like people that will literally, like, someone's talking shit. Oh, I'm gonna defend her. Why? They don't even know me, but they do know me. They know me online. And sometimes... Does
that feel good?
Yeah. And before I started posting online, I would see people, I was like, why are they defending that person? Like, they don't even know him. So I really wouldn't get that. But now, like, that I post and stuff, I'm like, you know what? Like, it's so beautiful to see. Like, you really don't... Like, if you want to be a nice person, you can be. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But if you want to be a fucking hater también, you could be a fucking hater.
Be a fucking hater, yeah. Hablando de las redes sociales, what do you feel like has been your aha moment? Nos cuentas de que obviamente you're not making millones, but I'm sure there was a moment where you're like, what the hell? Like, I can be doing social media as a full-time job. Do you have like a big brand deal or just like a big day where you're like, oh shit, like I made this much. Si me pongo las pilas, puede funcionar.
My moment, I would say, is when people were asking me to make merch. When like merch, right? I'm like, at first I would see him like, I'm like, okay, like, let's calm down, because, I'm just like, it's just 3 people. But then, like, I kept the vlogs. I post 3 to 4 times. Right now I've been doing 3. I've been slacking.
A day?
Yes, but usually I do 4. Like, sometimes I'll do like 5. I'll do like 4 vlogs and then 5 like a little, like, using a sound or something. Yeah. Today I've only posted 1, pero I'm busy right now.
Dando los comentarios. ¿Dónde estás?
Yeah, and I'm sure they're looking for me. Yeah. So I'm post like consistently. I'm like, oh, like merch. I'm just like, oh, like, okay. And then, like, I started, like, looking into it. And it was very hard to find, like, a merch company. Actually, I found the right people. And when I tell you, my merch was, like, pre-order. And I told them that, like, I talked to it for like, a week. I told them it's pre-order. Don't worry, it's not going to sell out, this and that. When I tell you the day of the merch drop, they crashed the site. They did not care. They did not care that it was pre-order. They did not care that I told them that it's not gonna sell out, guys. Like the website's gonna be open 2 weeks. If if you get paid this day, and okay, that's fine. Cada quien. They did not give a damn. They're like, no, bitch, we're all gonna get our merch the first day, and that's it. I was even like shaking, and my husband, Julian, actually worked night shift, and I was waking him up. I'm like, there's no way, because like the merch people were like, hey, you have this many orders, this many. I was like, there's no way. And again, it's never been about the money for me. So my DMs are flooded, but I do try to look through them. And I love when I see the messages where they're like, oh, like you make my day, or I've been going through this, and just watching your videos, like knowing that I make a difference in someone's life. Even son pendejadas que digo. But just like, and sometimes I'm like editing my video, I'm like, should I really upload this? Or like, I'm like, dude, I've carried when I'm editing and I like have a vlog, I'm like, dude, this vlog is whack. Like I don't, but I have to post it. I post it. It's a hit, and they're like, oh my God, this is. I'm just like, there's absolutely no motherfucking way.
I fucking hated this vlog.
But I've like the videos that I hate are the ones always good, and it's crazy. But it's like, I think it's because you're being true to yourself. That's why. And sometimes too, I still try to filter myself, and I'm just like, oh, like maybe no, or this and that. Because again, the internet can be a scary place. There's love, there's hate. But like I said, I have a very loyal supporters. Yeah. Like the engagement is really so real, and I really do love every single one of them.
Hablando ya, ya vamos a terminar, amigas. Yo sé que ustedes andan aquí bien encantados con la plática, porque yo también. Pero para hablarlo de social media, obviamente vienen muchas cosas hermosas with social media, but I feel like there always has to be some negatives. Obviamente, you're no stranger to hate. ¿Cómo tú has lidiado con eso? Does it ever get to you? Like, do you ever be like, oh shit, people hate me, let me fucking put my phone down, quizás? Or how is that for you?
I have gotten a lot more love than hate, thank God. But with the hate, I do see a lot of hate of getting hate towards like my parenting style, how I'm a mother, especially to Joseph. But a lot of people don't realize it's like you should never put yourself into someone's shoes that you really can't, relate to. Not every parent is a special needs parent. I would never put myself in someone else's shoes, because I'm like, okay, well, that's not a problem that I have, and I shouldn't. You shouldn't talk on things that you don't know. So at first it would really get to me, because I'm just like, dude, like I know I'm not a bad mom, like this and that. But like I said earlier, it really comforts me knowing like it's not affecting him. Like he's not reading this. He has no idea. He's literally in a perfect bubble. Toys, food, anything he wants, he has it. His world is perfect. Yeah. And that's what's like it's so beautiful to see that. And sometimes I look at him like I need to be like that more. Like it's just, and at the end of the day, I really try to like whatever happens under my roof, as long as these people are fine, as long my daughter, my son, and my husband, that's all that matters.
Es lo que importa. Y en verdad que sí tienes que ponerte en esas pilas, porque
you just have to keep reminding yourself.
Yes, I feel like me having done this almost 10 years. Oh my God, you guys, that's kind of crazy to think about.
10 years is insane.
Since I'm turning 27 next year, and I started at 16. No, I've already hit 10 years.
Yeah, you've hit 10 years.
And I remember when I first started it, the hate used to trigger me en el sentido de que, because maybe I was in a bad state of mind at the time, that whenever I would see shit that I knew I was insecure about, porque me tiraban mucho antes about my weight, lo vulgar que era. Lo vulgar, amigas, me valía verga si la gente me criticaba, but when it would come to my weight, I would be like, oh my God, I already feel like a fucking hippopotamo.
Yeah.
And then you're over here telling me I look like one. So I'm like, then it must be real what I'm feeling.
When I get hate when I'm like on my period, I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, you're right.
Please, no. But I'm like, no way, it's just my period talking. Relax.
No, me encanta. Like and I love that, at the end of the day, tú sales on top.
Yes.
Y eso es lo que importa, because I feel like sometimes we get so caught up on the negatives.
Yes.
And you're like, bitch, you have so much positive.
You see, and that's literally recently what I went through. Like, I kept seeing negatives, and I'm like, oh, my, like, but I'm just like, you know what? Or like, they were posting me on T pages and doing this and all these comments. But I'm just like, if you look at the comments, yes, there's bad comments, but then there's loyal people like defending you on there when they literally do not have to do that. When I was going through like, that time period of hate or whatever, I was just like, like maybe I should stop posting. And I was like, you know what? I was just like, who gives a fuck? Yeah. And that's not to be in it. A lot of people too see like, oh, you can't defend yourself. Like, you need to stay quiet because you're an influencer. You're this. I'm fucking human. If you're talking shit to me in the street or something, like, what the fuck? I'm gonna talk back. Yeah. If you're doing something to my kid, I'm not gonna say nothing. No, like I am a human being, and that's why it's like, was like, you're not going to sit there behind a keyboard doing all of this just because I'm known. Oh, I can't say nothing. No, bitch, I'm going to say something
Si
too.
me buscas, me encuentras.
Exactly.
Literal.
Yeah, and that's how it should be. Yeah.
Ya para terminar esta entrevista, la última pregunta that we always finish with, ¿en dónde te miras tú en los próximos 5 años? Whether that's family-wise, career-wise, ¿en dónde te miras tú?
No one has asked me that question in a long time. Family-wise, I'm gonna tell you, I'm done having kids. I get this question a lot. I am done having kids. I took out my tubes when I had my daughter. My tubes are literally in a dumpster in China. Maybe I have kids in the black market, but no more kids. I have plenty. But honestly, I can't see myself in 5 years, and I'm gonna say why. The reason I can't see myself in 5 years is because I really do try to live day by day. My life a year ago before social media is completely different.
Yeah.
So I know for a fact that my life can change completely in 1 year. So I can't even imagine in 5 years, whether it's in TikTok and YouTube, another platform. I just know that God has a plan for me, and I'm ready to take that on, the good and the bad. And as long as my kids and my husband are healthy, that's all that matters to me.
Y yo sé que cuando te pongas tus metas, yo sé que cada una de ellas las vas a cumplir. I had so much fun, amigas. Y yo sé que también allá en casita les gustó muchísimo este episodio y quedaron como empicados queriendo saber más. First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Y sentarte con nosotros y platicar de todo lo que platicamos.
No,
amigas,
it was good. The way that I still have way more to say.
Oh, you quieres más, güey. What do you want to, what is like one thing that you want to touch up?
No, I'm just kidding.
No,
part two.
Part two. Y si no, amigas, pues vayan y síganla para que ustedes le sigan preguntando lo que quieren seguir sabiendo para que ella se la responda. With that being said, amigas, thank you once again.
Thank you guys so much. I love every single one of y'all.
Si no la han seguido, amigas, vayan y síganla. I will leave all her links down below as well as on the screen. Y también no se les olvide seguirme a mí so you guys won't miss any future episodes. And with that being said, thank you once again.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I love y'all. God bless.
H-Town!
Yeah!
Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys!